we're living in a topsy-turvy world where our societies, especially those in the West, are run by elitist, classist, normally billionaires or billionaire funded politicians who are themselves pedophiles, or at least supporting pedophiles for the sake of gaining power. This is the reality of our society. This is without any doubt, there is no doubt about it, because just so happens that when you do desire and crave and you aspire towards power, you tend to forego, you negate, and you simply have a disdain for any conscience, because power for the sake of power is kind of is for these people redemption for whatever ills or gaps or holes in their own way of being in the world. Maybe they were traumatized from a young age, but I'm not going to talk about the psychological basis of these demonic forces at play. If there is a demonic entity within society, it's expressed in the form of these elites who are pedophiles or pedophile facilitating. And it just so happens that because these people care about power, they also care and align themselves with powerful interests that so happen to be facilitating and be accelerating a genocide that is happening in Gaza, and act with such impunity that they have no issues with 2,000 pound bombs being dropped on tents, that literally demolish, snuff out, that eliminate the life force of all the children and the men, women, of these innocent people. Now, why am I doing this video? There are two things that the mainstream news and politicians really want to brush under the rug. One of which, the Epstein files, and two, the issue of Palestine. And I'm here to say that Palestine will never die. Palestine will always be an important topic, because it's a primary example, exemplary of and a kind of a real lesson in morality. If, for example, you condemned or against the heinous acts of what happened on Bondi Beach, because of course it was enacted and it was expressed, and it was like a violent attack on innocent people, then you would share that same condemnation, that same opposition to the innocent people in Gaza being killed en masse. This collective punishment, this blood guilt that is thrown onto the Palestinian people as a whole. And there's no lies, you can't be misled by the lies, because they will tell you from their own mouths, these politicians who now deny that there is a genocide happening, they will tell you from their own records that they were in support of a genocide. So there's no question about it. These people who crave power, they will also lie and try to cover up their tracks in order to maintain their power, or try to maintain the illusion that they are on the side of the majority, of the conscience, of the consensus. Of course, it just so happens that a society that is built as an ethno-state, that is built on ethnic supremacy on the whole, even though it is 2025 and soon to be 2026, these people will negate their conscience or negate the possibility of any universalism in favor of this ethnic supremacy. These people have the morality of National Socialists. The Third Reich has evolved and is moved on to the Fourth Reich, which is a state in the Middle East that is causing all kinds of hell, because they believe themselves that they are the superior ethnicity in the Middle East, but also the entirety of the world. This is where it's come down to, and so Palestine is a case study. It's not just a case study. It is a kind of a moral compass on society and how humanity is expresses its morality. We will never forget Palestine because it is an expression of morality. If you do not side with Palestinians, there is something wrong with you, morally speaking. And this leads on to the second issue. There's a convergence of people who are in support of the Zionist state that is committing a genocide, with people who are facilitating, supporting, or in the past have facilitated and supported, or given a green light, or been complete turning the head away from these billionaire pedophiles or billionaire supported pedophiles. And it's no brainer, because these people do not consider morality as the driving force of their actions. Morality is a mere inconvenience. It is the what they consider as the conscience of the fools who are interested in their own little worlds. But unfortunately, these people who are the most psychopathic within society generally do not care about the day-to-day affairs that matter, that actually matter, the lives of the people, the everyday existence of the people, the joys, the sadnesses, the very day-to-day affairs of people, but also the very internal consciousness of a person. These people care about power, just in the same way that a robot would care about power. It's an automatic program that is running to acquire more and more power. This is why, to me, these people, the Jeffrey Epsteins, the Donald Trumps, these people lack self-reflection. They lack consciousness. They lack conscience, but also consciousness. They lack intelligence in the most meaningful way possible. The receptivity to anything that shows a regard for a personal experience. These people are living, breathing demons, and it just goes to show that these people care more about power, because in the same way that a robot that is fueled by zeros and ones, not about the internal experience, cares about acquiring more resources and building its algorithm and building its army. It's the same way that these billionaires, these elites, would also care about acquiring more power. And for these people, they have, once they reach a certain limit, a ceiling, they want to break that ceiling. What we consider as the moral taboos, that are taboos for good reason. Obviously not all taboos in the past have been justified. For example, in the past, race mixing was a taboo, right? But there are taboos that are obvious objective facts. The fact that there's a power play, when it comes to pedophilia. There's a power play that comes from Israel treating Palestinians as complete refuse, in the way that they treat the people, in the way that they, Israel actually virtually virtue signals about supporting and saving animals from Gaza, meanwhile killing en masse, thousands and thousands and thousands of Palestinians who have not even had a chance to breathe. So these two very, very important topics converge, but they are also a kind of a compass to morality. These things will never be ignored. We will never deflect away from them. These are things that will always be guiding principles, and we will always keep our eyes and minds on these topics, because they show the direction of humanity, and also the directions of the elites away from humanity. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. There's going to be so much more about the morality, the psychology, but also just, it doesn't have to be grandiose. everyday person is against this kind of momentum, this movement, and this kind of exploitation of the powerful against, minors. These people lack, these billionaires, elites, and these Zionists lack common sense. They lack the morality of, Zionism. It's not just a medieval ideology. It's pre-medieval, pre-enlightenment. It is. Uh, it defies our common sense. But then again, common sense is not common. It's just so that it's just there's a cognitive dissonance in Zionism, because the society that believes that it's a liberal democracy, that believes that it cares about law and justice and order, does not apply that when it comes to Palestinians. Does not care about justice and order when it comes to Palestinians, because of course there is a erroneous belief at play here, based on self-aggrandizement, narcissism, egotism. It's immoral It's a moral bankruptcy, and this has led to Israel, supporting, people like Jeffrey Epstein supporting Israel. These are two peas in the same pod. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.